Welcome to the Theory of Nothing podcast. I'm your co-host, Brian Wiora.
I'm your co-host, Chris Keene.
And we're back, Chris. After a couple month hiatus here.
That's true.
Nick Dervosla is waiting hand and knee.
Oh my God, he can't wait to hear this.
We should have a Nick counter at the bottom of the YouTube.
And this is his favorite topic we're going to get into today.
That's right. Before we get in there, though, thank you for listening to us on Spotify or watching us on YouTube. And we apologize. We apologize greatly for our delay. We've had a busy past couple of months. Chris, you were touring with Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, I did some touring. That's been fun. We're going out again soon. We're going to New York and Canada and Chicago and all these places. And is this the first time you've done this since we've done this?
I think I've mentioned it before, but we can say it again. I do own a comedy club now. That's something new that happened to me this year. I bought a place called the Zebra Room.
Oh yeah,
in East Hollywood. Chris is a frequent visitor of the Zebra Room.
I am.
Contributor.
Yeah.
Performer.
I hope to be a paid regular one day.
A paid regular? Yeah.
We'll see.
We definitely have those at a 50-seat comedy club in East Hollywood.
Well, if you did own the club on the last podcast, I feel like it's grown a lot more since then. You have all kinds of shows there now and everything.
That's right. Yeah, we do. We have shows there all the time now. We hope to get Jimmy Dore there. That would be great to have.
Yeah, he'll do it.
To have Dore there.
Sure.
But the biggest piece of news that our audience does not know of.
Oh, yeah.
Since our last episode.
This is huge.
Is that Chris Keene and I have moved in together.
Oh my God, guys.
Guys, this is the office meet cute that has turned into a budding romance is what's happened here.
Yeah, we're two gay guys living in West Hollywood. It's a fun time.
Except neither of us are gay.
Neither of us?
Neither of us are gay.
I don't get this whole thing that you people do, but okay.
My people. So those of you who don't know, I identify as bisexual, which confuses Chris because it just means I sleep with twice the number of people he does. That's all that
would
means.
be if you were straight, that would be the case too. So.
Well, what's twice of zero? Let's see. You can't divide by zero, right?
Yeah, I don't really care. It's a long story. Anyway.
But no, we live together now.
Yeah.
How's that going?
I like it. It's a fun time. We have the Milkshake Boys over. These people have no idea what that is, but...
Well, explain it to them. Who are the Milkshake Boys?
The Milkshake Boys are a group of 20-something men who like to come over to our house until 4 a.m. and play Quiplash and poker, and sometimes they bring a young lady over even, and the young lady, I ask her opinion on Israel-Palestine.
This is 100% true, by the way, for those of you that don't know. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, and we've been able to kind of talk a lot about these things that we talk about on the podcast, and that led us to ultimately being like, why haven't we been doing this more regularly? You know?
And now we're gonna do
but now we're doing it regularly.
Yeah.
We're coming back in full force and full swing.
Yes.
And we hope all of you Milkshake Boys and maybe future Milkshake Boys
that could be
listening.
the fan base of this
yeah, that's
show.
right.
We call them the Milkshake Boys.
We actually, what we need to do for this, and this is actually a good segue into this, is if you have a question for us, if you have something that's on your mind, you've listened to the past couple of episodes, please feel free to email us at theoryofnothingpodcast@gmail.com. We are taking questions always.
Yeah. Taking
submissions.
There you go.
We actually had kind of a cool shout out on X, formerly Twitter, from our last episode. It was a Disney fan account. I want to give them a special shout out to Briar Oswald for retweeting the podcast, or reposting it, I guess is what it's called now, saying that what Briar Oswald said, this is a direct quote, is, "I can't believe this does not have more viewers."
Damn. I don't know who this person is, but they sound really cool.
They sound, I mean, I don't know who they are either personally, but it's a cool account that talks about Disney stuff. And last podcast episode, for those of you that did not listen, we talked a little bit about Disney. And
right.
So that was really cool.
Disney is turning into like the other Nick Dervosla here. Like, I feel like Disney is mentioned every episode.
Well, it's funny because I feel like Disney and Nick Dervosla are polar opposites.
Let's see if we can work Disney into this episode somehow.
I think we will, actually, because Disney I associate with a lot of fun.
Okay.
A lot of whimsy, a lot of enjoyment.
Whimsy. Brian's big on whimsy.
I'm a big whimsy guy.
Yeah.
A lot of fun, a lot of whimsy, a lot of actually engagement with people. And today, what I want to talk about is the title of this episode is The Theory of Crowd Work.
Oh yeah, we're getting into it.
Because
what do you guys do for a living?
That was going to come out at some point.
Oh,
so I'm glad it's coming now. But let's actually give a little bit of context and background as to why we're doing this episode before we get into it. Because first thing is, Chris and I are both stand-up comics, semi-professionally, I would say.
Yeah.
And we both have full-time jobs that are comedy adjacent.
That's right.
You are a full-time comedy podcast editor.
Yeah.
For Jimmy Dore.
And tour manager.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And you got a promotion. You're now the tour manager. I forgot about that. Yeah. And I own a comedy club.
Yeah.
But we have not talked about stand-up comedy really directly on this podcast.
That's true.
And so people are very much the people want it, Chris.
I know. They've been dying to hear our opinion.
And yet we haven't really specifically addressed comedy and stand-up comedy on this podcast.
No, not really.
And so I think today's a good day to do it. And of course, I think our initial thought was that we were going to do the theory of comedy or the theory of stand-up comedy, but that would have taken forever, and we would have just scratched the surface.
We can do that at some point. It is very vague.
I think it's too vague. So crowd work was kind of an interesting thing for us to talk about because on both a sort of philosophical level and on a personal level. But I guess let's start with the big picture of this because crowd work, and one of my questions I'm going to ask you is what is crowd work? And that's going to be, I think, a big portion of this. But crowd work comedy and crowd work clips and crowd work comics, this is the predominant style of comedy that we see on Instagram and TikTok and social media really at large.
Yes,
it's becoming the hottest form of comedy in 2025 and actually has been for the past couple of years. I would say really post-COVID, we've seen a lot more crowd work. Chris laughs because the term post-COVID is very funny to him.
No, that's not why.
And, I think that crowd work is along with that, and this is true of anything in any genre of art that is the dominant style, is it's controversial. It's
crowd work is controversial?
But anything, rock was controversial in the 60s, right?
Oh, okay.
You
mean there's people that people have strong feelings
whenever
on crowd
something's
work.
Popular, people are going to have strong opinions about it.
Yes.
People have very strong opinions about Taylor Swift. People have very strong opinions about, Pedro Pascal or Timothée Chalamet, whatever's the popular thing, people are.
I think some people probably look at crowd work as almost a bastardization of stand-up. Right.
And this will transition into a personal level, but let's start with sort of on a philosophical perspective on crowd work. And I want to ask a very specific question that I've written down here, which is, first of all, as we get into what makes stand-up comedy different from just comedy in general, I want to start there, and we'll see how this transitions into it. But for you, Chris, what for you is the thing that separates stand-up comedy from just, say, comedy at large?
Well, it's a solo activity. That's the biggest thing. And to me, it's about one person and their thoughts, feelings, emotions in writing. That's what it's about. It's about that one person's perspective. It's about your perspective. That's what stand-up comedy is, a person's perspective. And one of the many reasons that I'm not a fan of crowd work is that you're not getting any of the comedian's perspective in crowd work, really.
Sure.
I was thinking about it, and what crowd work is it's like you're painting with other people's brushes. You know what I mean? Like I'm not actually hearing what you think about anything or feel about anything or learning anything about you, because the crowd is actually painting the picture. yes, there's an art to stringing it together, you know what I mean? And putting together and making it work for crowd work. But most of the time, like, you're not doing much thinking or feeling or expressing yourself. You're letting the crowd do it for you. And that's just not very interesting to me. And plus, a lot of crowd work is just inane bullshit. Where do you work? Who are you dating? That kind of stuff. It's not like people are like, "Oh, what are your thoughts on Israel-Palestine? What are you, like, I think that would be funny. I mean, obviously it would be terrible, but anyway, I don't mean to totally shit on the art form. Obviously, there's merits to it, and I'm not saying it's all garbage. I'm just telling you my preference is I want to hear what somebody thinks, not the crowd work. But yeah, does that answer?
No, I think that's a great place to start off here.
Okay,
because I want to start with what you said at the beginning of that, which is, it's about one person's perspective. I did this whole deep dive into comedy and comedian, whatever. If you look up the Wikipedia page of comedian, okay. Do you know what image they use for comedian?
Is it a clown?
It's not a clown.
A jester?
It is not a jester.
Okay, what is it?
It is a picture of Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, that's cool.
So that is really interesting to me, first and foremost, because I love Charlie Chaplin. He's my all-time favorite actor. The club I bought, ironically, is in Chaplin Studios, where Charlie Chaplin made movies, and he lived there briefly. I love Chaplin. But what I was kind of interested in is the difference between a comedian and a stand-up comedian. No one would consider Charlie Chaplin a stand-up comedian, right? And in fact, you talk about perspective, Chaplin is most well known for not saying anything. He's a silent film comedian.
Uh-huh.
So you come in and you talk about perspective and you talk about hearing from someone, and yet the image of comedian is a literally voiceless person. So that's just a very interesting thing, that comedian brings voice into, stand-up comedian brings voice into comedy.
Well, you can still say something silently, right?
Absolutely. And I think Chaplin does. And I've a lot to say about that. Of course, I have a lot to say about crowd work. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into some of the personal side of that in a second. And you did a nice job explaining your side. But I actually want to read to you right now the definition of stand-up comedy, as also provided by Wikipedia.
Nice.
Which is another sponsor of this podcast.
This is a platform edited by the CIA. Are we really gonna trust them? No.
All right. So what is stand-up comedy? Stand-up comedy is a performance directed to a live audience where the performer stands on a stage and delivers humorous and satirical monologues, sometimes incorporating physical acts. These performances are typically composed of rehearsed scripts, but often include varying degrees of live crowd interaction, crowd work. Yeah. Stand-up comedy consists of one-liners, stories, observations, or shticks that can employ props, music, impressions, magic tricks, or ventriloquism.
Wow.
What stands out to you in that definition?
To me, what stood out for me was monologue.
Okay.
That's what stood out for me.
Why?
Because that's what, to me, you should be doing. It's about your perspective. So you're doing a monologue. Now, obviously, you don't get on stage and recite what your script, like the joke that you do.
Yeah,
but
I'll get into that in a second.
But that's the essence of what the point of the art is to me.
Yeah.
So monologue was the word that stuck out to me in that.
Interesting.
What sticks out to you?
What sticks out to me is live audience interaction, and this is I say this a lot, so to sort of spoil it for those of you at home, although everyone right now listening to this knows both of us right now, but I'm talking about in the future, years in the future when you and I are huge and people want to listen to this. I'm a huge fan of crowd work, and I do it a lot in my act, and I try to do what's called embedded crowd work, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but basically, the key to stand-up comedy to me, and this is what attracted me to the art form initially, was the immediacy and the intimacy of the art form. The immediacy as in it's all happening right there live. It's all happening now. This isn't a movie. This isn't a Chaplin film, or this isn't Wedding Crashers or whatever, which are comedies, but you're not right there. There's nothing immediate about a film that you watch.
Right.
But then also along with immediacy is the intimacy of it, that it's all happening to you. That when you come and sit down at a stand-up comedy show, you are a part of the show. You affect the show. Now, different comics utilize that differently. All stand-up comics, I should say, use the audience in one very particular way, which is to listen to and engage with the laughter. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Or maybe they should be, right? I suppose a bad stand-up comic might not care if someone's laughing or might step over laughs or whatever. But they all sort of gauge what they're doing based on the immediate feedback. This is different than a movie, right? In a movie, when Will Ferrell does something funny, he doesn't wait for the audience to laugh because there's no audience there, right? It's a camera.
Yep.
And so the thing that separates stand-up comedy, the thing that makes stand-up comedy unique, I would say, is the immediacy and the intimacy.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I had so many thoughts about what you just said. I didn't know where to begin.
Well, begin somewhere.
I think you just made me realize that the popularity of crowd work speaks to like how our culture is now.
I figured we would get here.
Because of phones and everything. Because and Josh, this comic Josh, I guess I won't say his name.
No,
I don't know
name.
if it matters. Josh, he works at Flappers. You know
Okay.
Josh?
Yeah.
I think it was him. I hope I'm not remembering this wrong. He had a bit where he was just talking about how hard it is to get people to come to shows and how like no one wants to be an audience member anymore. Everyone wants to be a performer. And that's kind of like what the phone has done, right? Like now everyone is a performer.
Yeah.
Everyone is performing.
Okay.
And I think that's why crowd work is so everyone, like what you said when you said, well, the audience comes and they're part of the show. It's like, no, you're the fucking audience. The comic is the show. Like, but now we've blurred these lines where it's like everyone thinks that they're the performer. And it's like, and I'm not saying like I'm better. I'm saying like if I was in the audience, I would say it's that person's show. I'm not the show. I'm an audience member.
Yeah.
But now there's this blurring of like everyone wants to be everyone wants to be the star of the show. It's like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, so I actually think we're making separate points here. So let me elucidate the distinction here a bit. So what I'm saying has applied to stand-up comedy always, before phones.
I disagree.
Well, let me explain why.
Okay.
Before phone, when you were just sitting there before phones, and Lenny Bruce or George Carlin or whoever you want to use, Steve Martin, whatever, gets up there and is performing. And they tell a joke. The way what they say next, I think, often depends on how the audience reacts to them.
Yeah, sure.
Or else it is just a play, or else it is just a rehearsed script, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If the audience is really laughing at what you're saying, like really cackling, you might add a tag. You might repeat a tag. You've seen comics do that. Like, oh, that thing was funny. Let me say it again. Or let me say it in a different way. Or let me add this tag. Let me keep going on with this bit or whatever.
Yes.
Or you ever hear a comic like say something that gets a big laugh and then they go, right? They're like, right?
Yeah.
And that's engagement with the audience. Okay. And along the same lines, let's take things the other way. Let's say you tell a joke and it bombs. Right? And by bomb, I mean gets no feedback from the audience.
Yeah.
Comics all the time, we see this all the time, will acknowledge that. They'll be like, what, you guys don't like curling? Or what,
Yeah.
What, you guys don't do this? Or, oh, you guys, don't be offended by this or whatever. That's audience engagement and audience interaction. That's always existed in the history of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's crowd work is maybe a different conversation. But what I'm saying is that is what makes stand-up unique, is that you have the ability as a stand-up comic to engage with an audience in a way you don't in something that's filmed.
Yeah, or other art forms.
Or other art forms.
Yeah, when you play I used to play music.
Right.
When you play a show, the audience isn't. You can just do your thing. I mean, obviously, a show's better with a large audience, but you don't need their reaction.
Sure.
You know, but in comedy, they're, like you said, they are part of the show. They always have been part of the show in comedy. That's not what I'm arguing.
Right.
But the show isn't. The show isn't about. If you're in the audience, the show isn't about you. Like, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this. Someone tries to crowd work an audience member, and they just keep talking on and on and on, right?
The audience member does?
Yeah, the audience.
Yeah.
They'll tell their whole life story.
I've been there.
And then someone will make a joke like, what's like a typical response to that? I can't think right now. It's
sometimes
like,
what I'll say when
maybe
I
tell
do
me
this.
after the show or something. Or what do you say?
I've done that before. Something I'll say, because I do a lot of crowd work, is someone will start telling me their whole life story or whatever, and I'll be like, no, it's okay, it's my time, or whatever.
Right.
Which that tends to also get a laugh too.
Yeah. And I sound like I'm being a dick, where it's like, it's not about you, shut up. But if I was in the audience, that's how I would act. Like,
right.
We're audience members.
Well, so
and
go ahead.
Again, I don't know. There's so many factors to this. I look at the art as, let me hear this person's perspective.
Yeah.
I went to see my friend Julia Austin, a very hilarious one of the funniest people I've ever met. She filmed a special. She did like a 20-minute special telling this personal story. Imagine if I was in the audience, say, I'm a video editor. You want to know what I do for a living? Yeah, we've been together for you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it's not about me.
This is going to be fun.
It's about her and what she's saying.
We're about to have a lot of fun with this, because I disagree a lot. But I want to continue setting.
Don't you want to know what I do? I know you're talking about how your dad died, but hey, I work for Uber.
Let's go to a point that I think you and I are going to agree on here.
Okay.
Before we start going into the massive amounts of points that we're going to disagree on here. So, all right, have you seen this video that's been going around about Justin Timberlake?
No, is it him dancing? Or?
No. So he, kind of. So Justin Timberlake has gone on tour again.
Yeah, I see people making fun of him dancing, but I didn't.
It's not him. It was that's not what I saw people making fun of him about.
Okay.
Timberlake was on stage, and he had a song, and the song started, and he just held out the mic, and the entire audience sang the entire song.
Mm-hmm.
And he would come in, he would be like, because I got that, and everyone would go, sunshine in my pocket, got that. But it was just the audience singing.
Should I say something or let you
finish?
Hold
on, let me finish this. Okay. And because I think this is a point that you and I would agree on.
Okay.
And apparently, like, the whole concert, it was mostly the audience singing, and not Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, guess what? You pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to go see Justin Timberlake.
Yes.
And what you walked into was karaoke.
Yes. I mean, those moments are cool in a show if they're, few and far between.
Right.
But when they're doing it all the time, it's completely ridiculous.
So this is something you and I will agree on. I would have been very upset if I had attended that Justin Timberlake concert.
Insane.
And just heard the audience singing the whole time.
But because of this, everyone thinks, oh, it's me. It's all about me. And I'm not saying I'm better. Everyone's a narcissist, right? To varying degrees.
So I think you and I agree on a lot of that. And I think also, a lot of what you and I say about stand-up comedy is that you've got to be funny. It's funny first, right?
I don't know.
Hold
Do
on.
we say that?
Yeah. But it's also got to be
it's
got to be interesting too. And that's the part that you and I really will agree on. Because if it's just interesting and it's not funny, it's not stand-up, it's monologuing, right?
Yeah, it can't be that. But sometimes I think I've noticed about myself, and I'm not saying this is good about me. It's probably a flaw of mine, where I put having something to say before funny.
Yeah.
And I think it's a flaw of mine, honestly. I don't know. I guess it depends on what you want out of it. Like, I'll almost be like, well, it's important that I say this, so if it's not funny or if it doesn't get as big of a laugh or if it alienates half the audience, I don't care, because I think it's important to say this. That's maybe not a good attitude for comedy, right?
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
I would say it's a bad attitude for comedy.
It could be, yeah. But it depends on what you're trying to do or what you want to do.
Yeah, it is. it is kind of stand-up comedy is interesting because, and we're basically doing the theory of stand-up at this point anyway. But stand-up comedy is interesting because it is a tough thing to define. I mean, you look at that definition. In all the things it listed, it talked about magic tricks. It talked about ventriloquism. It talked about all these things that, if you just saw someone go up there and do magic, you wouldn't say, oh, I just went to a stand-up comedy show, right?
Right.
But yet there are stand-up comics who can do magic.
Yeah, I've seen them. And I hate, this is another reason I hate these conversations people get in of, oh, that's not comedy. That's not comedy. Like they did it. First of all, they did it with Hannah Gadsby,
right?
And they also do it with like Dave Chappelle,
for sure.
And both sides of that I thought were fucking morons,
right?
Like I don't agree with Hannah Gadsby on a lot of things, but it's comedy.
Yeah.
Like George Carlin does what Hannah Gadsby does, just about different topics, right? Like Carlin will go on a monologue and then he'll have a joke and he's saying something, just like Hannah Gadsby. Just it's because you don't agree with her. That's why you're doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
That's something you and I agree on. We talked about that in a previous episode, the Theory of Disagreement one. Yeah. Which, feel free to go back and listen to that. But let's get into crowd work specifically.
Yes.
Because what I want to do first is I want to talk about this. So when you look up crowd work on Wikipedia.
Oh, wow. That's on there?
There's not a page directed to crowd work. It redirects you to another page.
Really?
Do you know what other page it redirects you to?
Brian Wiora's Instagram?
Okay, that's fair. I had that one coming. That's good. That's very good.
Where does it go?
That's a good clip right there.
We should do it. We'll use it.
It redirects to interactive theater is the page that it redirects you to. And here's what it says. Interactive theater is a presentational or theatrical form or work that breaks the fourth wall, that traditionally separates the performer from the audience both physically and verbally. Yeah. I thought you would like that because it references the fourth wall.
That is why I liked it.
Which is your favorite. You said on a previous episode, your favorite place in Los Angeles.
Favorite place in LA, Fourth Wall Cafe.
Despite the fact that you and I now live together and I own a comedy club.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm a big fan of Fourth Wall Cafe.
Yes.
And NoHo.
Yes.
But I think that's an interesting place to start is crowd work as interactive theater.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways, what's interesting, and do you mind if I speak for a bit here about this?
No, it's fine.
Because a lot of people ask like how I got into doing crowd work. Because I didn't start as a crowd work comic. And I even struggle with that definition now when people say, oh, Brian's a crowd work comic, because I'm going to make a point later about that. But, it's interesting. I always enjoyed doing it. And I found that off stage where I was at my funniest was in conversation with people. I was never the guy to post like a long monologue on Instagram, like certain people do. Certain friends of ours do. I always have enjoyed dialogue, and people have told me before that oh, you're quick, you respond quick to this. And I should also mention that I was on my college's improv team as well, and so I enjoyed doing sort of the improvisational element of it. And the more and more I started incorporating crowd work into my bits, the more I was getting laughs, which is the point. But also, and you've brought this up to me recently, the more fun I was having on stage.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed doing it to the point where I did a set, it was like a couple months ago now. It was I did 15 minutes on stage, and it was all crowd work. And it was like the most fun I had on stage. And it was like this thing unlocked for me. And so, and now I've got this other thing of trying to embed crowd work, which is ultimately my goal. So my goal ultimately is to have things in the forms of bits, or for those of you that don't know, jokes, right? Jokes, but inside each joke to have moments and opportunities where I'm talking and discussing with the crowd.
Yeah.
And so to me, I love the idea of crowd work as an art form being associated with interactive theater.
That's what it seems like to me when I watch it.
Right.
You know what you would be fucking great at?
What?
Is if you had like a Donahue type TV show.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Talk
Or like
about
a
it.
Jerry Springer.
Sure.
I mean, it wouldn't have to be nuts like that, but that's like everything you love. I feel like it's
Yeah.
like interactive. There's a crowd. It's a dialogue, not a monologue.
Yeah.
Like maybe one day you'll have a show like that or something.
I might. But it's interesting because, you talked at the very beginning of this podcast about how you're there to hear someone's perspective.
Yeah.
And you feel like crowd work robs us of a certain person's perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who I feel like I've got a lot of very interesting things to say. I mean, you want to talk about
You're one of the smartest people I know. That's why I'm bummed when I just hear the crowd work.
And I appreciate you saying that. I also feel like I've got interesting things to say. I mean, you want to talk about philosophy? I have a degree in philosophy, right? And I was a creative writer, and I still am, and a published writer, and I, am a former teacher, right? And so I obviously have things to lecture about and to say about the world and about whatever. But for me, I enjoy doing that work through dialogue as opposed to monologue.
Okay.
And where you and I think, are going to have a fundamental disagreement is I think when I do crowd work, I am presenting my perspective through that interaction.
I mean, I guess it depends on how the interaction goes. One example that would be that to me, I think, is you had an interaction where the white guy in the audience was offended on behalf of the Asian guy in the audience, and you were kind of like, see, this is the problem with society. We've got the white guy offended, the Asian guy's having fun. So that is kind of showing a perspective through crowd work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's what do you do for a living? I mean, where are we going? That's not really a perspective. The scuba diving thing that you did.
Yeah.
And these people don't know what we're talking about, but these are just
they will if you check out Brian Wiora's Instagram.
Go to his Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a funny thing, but there's no like perspective there on the world or on anything.
I see. Maybe.
So it depends on the topic or whatever.
I guess. I mean, to me,
look, you don't have to have there's plenty. You just said I go to hear a monologue. A lot of people don't do that. People don't go to Matt Rife shows. I don't think, because they want to. Oh, what does Matt Rife think about the world? That's not why they're going. It's just a fun thing. He'll probably go, look at these two, and it's just fun for people. Well, and that's fine. There's different genres of comedy, right?
So let's talk about Matt Rife for a second here.
Matt Rife.
Oh wait.
Stupid fucking thing.
I'll wait for you to adjust.
This is such a mess. I'm a mess today. Okay.
All right. So let's talk about Matt Rife for a second, because Matt Rife is, as of this current moment right now, probably the most popular stand-up comic in the world performing right now.
One of them. Yeah.
He regularly sells out 50,000 person arenas.
Does he?
Yeah. Like,
I didn't know it was that big.
The Kia Forum.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
He's huge. And he might, I should have looked this up beforehand. He might be the highest grossing stand-up comic right now performing.
Should we look at, you want me to look it up?
Sure, we can look this up here. Joe Coy, Adam Sandler is 9. Jerry Seinfeld is 8. Trevor Noah is 7. Bert Kreischer 6. Maniscalco 5. Cat Williams 4. Iglesias 3. Bargatze 2. Matt Rife 1.
Really? That is crazy.
Matt Rife made $57 million. He performed 256 shows.
Wait, this list I have has Bargatze as one, 82 million. But
okay, this one I'm looking at has Rife 1. All right, so Rife's either 1 or 2.
Yeah.
In 2024, Matt Rife performed 256 shows. He grossed... Sorry, he sold 733,000 tickets. 733,000 tickets Matt Rife sold.
That guy knows what a lot of people do for a living. Let me tell you. That's a lot of jobs to learn about.
And he made $57.5 million on that.
Oh my God, the amount of couples he knows, their backstory.
So what's interesting is Thanksgiving last year, I did a Friendsgiving thing. I was at a friend's house. And his mom was there. I was talking with his mom, and I asked her, she said, oh, you do stand-up comedy? I was like, yeah. She goes, I asked her, who were some of your favorite stand-up comics? And she goes, oh, well, I mean, everyone in your world must love Matt Rife. And it was such this moment where I'm like, oh, I'm too inside the bubble to understand what, this is, right? Rife is by far, I would say, the most controversial figure for comics. And that might actually be even giving, the word controversy might be the wrong word. I would say potentially disliked.
Probably.
You don't meet a lot of Matt Rife defenders who are also stand-up comics.
I mean, look, I'm not even a hater. I don't really give a shit because what Matt Rife does has nothing to do with what I do. It has no effect on me. I think maybe people get mad because they think, oh, he's taking away from me.
Yeah.
But I don't look at it that way. But I will say, I do think it's like boy band comedy.
Okay.
That's like, and there's a whole string of these people.
But
now,
elaborate
on
it. That's interesting. Elaborate.
I don't know. It's just that you see them. I'm not going to name names because I don't have anything against these people, but it's like boy band comedy.
Yeah.
I can think of at least 5 of them off the top of my head. It's like these good-looking guys or whatever. They look like him. They're just kind of like, I don't know what you call that look, but
kind of broy,
white dudes. And they all do that style of comedy, the crowd work, the how long have you been together, and then they're goofy, and they do the act out.
Like Trevor Wallace.
I'm not naming names. We're not naming names here. I'm just saying.
Well, why don't you want to name Trevor Wallace?
I just don't like shitting on people. Fine, yeah, Trevor Wallace, kinda, yeah. A Trevor Wallace is, But is he a big crowd work guy?
Yeah.
Okay. No, yeah. I mean, I got nothing against these people, but I think that is the genre of what they do. I would call it boy band comedy.
It's interesting. Just hold on. It's interesting you're willing to call it Rife, but not someone who's
I don't want
like
to
a
shit
little
on any
bit
of
lower than him.
I don't mean to shit on any of these guys. Like I said, I don't think they have an affect me and what I do.
What about Andrew Schultz?
Schultz, I don't look at that way at all.
Okay. Well, why? Because he does a shit ton of crowd work.
But he also has amazing material.
Okay.
I mean, he's got great jokes, and he's just a phenomenal comedian.
How many Matt Rife specials have you seen?
I have not said. I've watched parts of 2. Okay. I'm not going to sit down and watch an entire Matt Rife special.
So this is actually my issue, because I feel like one of the very few defenders of Rife in the stand-up scene, which is fine. I don't mind.
Dude, I don't even, in my defense, I don't even often sit down and watch an entire special of like a comedian I love.
Sure.
I mean, normally I'll watch, if I love like Tim Dillon, I'll watch it. Joe DeRosa's new special. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh my God.
People have been talking about that one.
It's all awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, what were you saying?
I think Rife is, to me, so talented as a stand-up comic.
Okay.
And the reason why.
If he was ugly, would you still think that?
Sure.
Okay.
He might not be as popular if he was ugly, though, by the way.
I think he definitely would not be.
Okay.
And that's not to take away, but it's just a reality of life.
He might not be as popular if he wasn't white either.
Maybe. Yeah.
But to me, when I go back to the definition of stand-up comedy, when we go back to that initial definition about audience engagement, about performing in front of a live audience, and when we talk about interactive theater, Rife might be one of the most, if not the most talented stand-up comics performing right now. That's a controversial opinion in the stand-up world, which is ironic given that he's outselling everyone else combined.
I mean, I wasn't involved in comedy at this time, but I'm pretty sure that everyone kind of did this same thing to Dane Cook.
Yeah.
When he was the
sure.
Matt Rife of his
day. Yeah. They absolutely did.
Yeah, they were like, this is goofy and stupid. This isn't comedy. It was like the same kind of thing. And you're right. People get jealous when somebody's huge. And I'm not a fan of Dane Cook either. And Dane Cook was the first stand-up comedy thing I ever went to. Okay.
Stand-up comedy show I ever went to.
And you make this argument too that like you think guys like this are good because they get people into stand-up comedy.
Yeah, I call them the sort of gateway drugs. Because if you get a kid who loves Matt Rife, a 14-year-old boy who loves Matt Rife.
Yes.
They might end up doing comedy later in their lives. And that's the beauty of this.
But is that guy going to get into and I get, maybe this is all a taste thing or something, I don't know, but is that guy who loves Matt Rife, is he gonna get into Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Patrice O'Neill, Bill Hicks, Norm Macdonald, or is he gonna see those guys and be like, what? Why aren't they asking what they do for a living?
I mean,
do you know what I mean?
But I did. I'm a good example of this.
Yeah.
And if you would have asked me in 10th grade who the best stand-up comic of all time was, I would have told you Dane Cook.
Yeah.
You know, now he's not in my top 50. You know,
right?
So this happens. You get older. Shit happens to you.
Who do you think well, I was gonna ask, who do you think the audience is for Matt Rife? But it's almost absurd because, you know, if he's literally selling 50,000 seat places, I mean, what is that? They can't be all women.
No, it's everyone.
I mean, maybe it's women dragging their boyfriends.
Yeah, it's the same audience of people who like it's the audience of like people who enjoy ice cream, or you know, people who enjoy the sunlight. Like everyone.
Yes, but what man do you know is like, I love Matt Rife, he's like the best comic?
Well, I hang out with exclusively comics, and so men and women and everyone who I hang out with does not like Matt Rife.
Okay.
But I look, the thing that makes Matt Rife so great at his job and so talented, and this is what I want to say. You may not like him, and that's a personal choice of yours, right? You cannot like him, that's fine. But to say he's not talented is where I actually take issue with you. And not you, just the general you.
I'm not saying he's not talented.
I think what Matt Rife is doing takes an incredible amount of tact and artistry, because the fact that he can go out there as a straight white man. By the way, I don't know if you've been following the news recently. Straight white men are not the most popular people in culture right now.
Yeah.
But the fact that he can go out there as a straight white man and get all of these different people from all these different backgrounds to like him.
Yeah.
That takes skill.
Yes.
That takes skill. You know who doesn't have that skill? The presidents of the United States don't have that skill. Other members of the media don't have that skill.
Some of them have that skill better than others.
But certain members of the media, name a talk show host that you feel like is as well received from all sides of the aisle as Matt Rife is.
A talk show host? I mean, I think Leno and Letterman were way better at it than the ones we have now.
Yeah, but it was a different time.
Yeah. Leno was great at that.
Yeah.
Leno was great at not alienating his audience.
Everyone was good at that in the Clinton administration and when Clinton was president.
Well, yeah, like you said, it was a different time.
Yeah.
I mean, even, Johnny Carson, I mean,
sure,
he thought that late night talk shows shouldn't get political and stuff.
Yeah,
And so does Leno. He just went viral for saying that.
Yeah. But it's interesting.
But here's the thing.
Go ahead.
This is like with Matt Rife. Oh, it takes a lot of talent to get people to like you as a straight white guy. It also takes like kind of a lot, and this has nothing to do with weight, race, or gender. If you want to be universally loved, it also takes a lot of bullshit. You have to like pretend, you know, you're not people that are universally loved. You're not getting the full picture of them.
Yeah.
You're not hearing their real opinions on things. They're self-censoring, and they're doing it. You know, that is part of why you're able to be universally loved. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of examples of this. Like, we're not going to ever hear The Rock's real opinion on anything. Or
if we did, it probably would be very boring.
I mean, he's come out and said political things, but it's always been very vague and like, hey, why can't we all get along? And I think this is wrong, but it's nothing. He doesn't get into what he actually thinks. You know what I mean?
No, but what I understand, to me, the comparison here is the Eagles.
Okay.
The band The Eagles, because the Eagles in the 70s were way more sold way more albums than bands that probably are more interesting than the Eagles.
Yeah, that kind of blows my mind. I mean, Coldplay could be an example.
Yeah, Coldplay. They were also in the news recently for crowd work.
You know who are some of the best comedians, I think, in the world?
Who?
Noel and Liam Gallagher.
Yeah, well, that...
Did you see Liam talking about Coldplay on stage?
No.
Oh, he was just like, we don't do any of that snidey camera bullshit where, like, you can fuck whoever you want. We don't care. It was just... Those guys are just hilarious.
They are
to
funny.
Me.
But here's what I want to say, is when we talk about someone like Rife, you may not like it. That's fine. I think it's a taste issue, but I think it takes talent to do what he does.
I agree. And I'm not shitting on these people. I just think it's boy band comedy.
Sure.
And that's what it is. It's not for me, but that doesn't mean that doesn't take talent.
So now we get into kind of my more, I'll call it my sort of, I think it's going to be controversial, but I think it's my definition of what I think crowd work comedy is.
Okay.
Because I think if you think of crowd work comedy as only Matt Rife, then yeah, it suffers a lot of the flaws that you outlined at the beginning. You started this podcast by saying how much you hated crowd work comedy.
Yeah.
And the specific reasons. And that's fine. But I think that applies to a very limited definition of what crowd work comedy is.
Why don't you tell us your favorite crowd work comic, Brian?
Okay. So, for instance, I think my favorite crowd work comic is probably Norm Macdonald.
So you told me this one time before.
And here's why Norm, I think, is my favorite crowd work comic. Because we misunderstand what crowd work comedy is. When we think crowd work comedy is, what do you do for a living? Are you two dating? How long of, whatever. Then yeah, it's a very limiting definition. But we think of crowd work comedy, and what I think of crowd work comedy as is engagement and interaction with the audience on an immediate and intimate level.
But isn't that's stand-up comedy?
Well, hold on.
Okay.
We get to that. So let me defend Norm for a second as my favorite crowd work comic. So Norm, for those of you that have not seen his stand-up, because a lot of people, by the way, haven't seen Norm stand-up.
Which is sad, yeah.
Norm tells these very long, verbose stories that kind of twist and twine their way to a final punchline.
It's not the only thing he does, though.
But
sometimes
it's something that he's very well known for. The moth story, the Honeycrisp Apple story, the missing woman story,
Professor of Logic.
Professor of Logic, right? A lot of these very long stories, and what he's playing with there. The reason why those jokes work and why I think they're brilliant is because he's playing with the idea of the audience reaction to him.
Yeah.
He's not asking the audience questions, but he's also playing. If you watch these clips, I've been watching a lot of Norm recently, and the amount of time he pauses in between different parts of these stories is so dependent on the audience, what the audience is giving him.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about Norm is that I think what you start to, like, 25% of the audience is like immediately on this train with him. And then 75% of the audience is like, what's going on? This isn't funny.
Yeah.
And then as it progresses, you see it's almost like it's almost like a stock, right? You see like 30%, 35%, 40%, 50%. Like if it's slow, he slowly starts bringing everyone on this train, and yet nothing he said is like a joke in a traditional set of punch tag sense, but it's all there. I think that is as much crowd work as what Matt Rife does.
Okay.
It's a different manifestation of it. It's a different form of it, but it's a form of crowd work. What you want to say to me right now is that, well, then everything is crowd work. Then what is that's just stand-up comedy. Everything is crowd work.
Yeah.
Here's where I would make a differentiation between that. Is not everyone, when they get up there and tell jokes, is playing with audience engagement and audience interaction in that way.
Right.
I'm not saying Norm just to be controversial and say anyone is. I'm saying Norm in particular does this. But it opens the definition of what crowd work can be.
Yeah, I can see that. Are you surprised? I'm not arguing with you, Brian.
Well, I want to hear your response to this.
My honest response, I think, is that I kind of agree with what you're saying, which is we normally just argue about things like this.
Yeah, sure.
But I guess that is a form of crowd work.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's still telling a joke.
Sure.
So I guess the lines are blurred there, I guess, between stand-up and crowd work.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting observation that you've done here.
Well, I think ultimately crowd work gets this dirty name in stand-up comedy. And here's the joke I tell Chris is,
I don't look at it as crowd work, though.
Okay.
Maybe I should.
Okay, well, elaborate on that.
Well, it's something he has crafted.
Yeah.
It's something that he's not relying on the audience to make his joke for him. He's crafted this. He's just maneuvering with the audience.
Uh-huh.
Whereas a crowd work comic is relying on the audience to craft the joke.
See, I would say Norm relies on the audience to craft the delivery of the joke.
The delivery, yes. But not. But then here we go again. Every stand-up maneuvers their delivery based on the audience.
Every stand-up comic maybe should, right? But I don't think they all do.
Well, if you're doing it right, you do. You're in rhythm with the audience. If you're not, then you're not in rhythm with the audience, and you're not gonna have a good set.
Yeah. So here's, I think, a problem. And look, I watch more amateur stand-up comedy than 99.9% of humans ever will in their life. And you do too, by the way. But me especially as a club owner, I do. And I'm a big defender of the amateur scene. I think more people should try out stand-up comedy. I think that it's because a lot of times people come up to me, they're like, "Oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that." It's like, okay, well, fucking do it then. Why don't you fucking do it? But all right. So here's what I'll say: is there are a lot of times I watch, particularly amateur stand-ups, although a lot of professionals too, and I sit there and I'm like, you could just be doing this to a wall.
Sure.
In your room.
I've fallen into that.
And, I've joked about this with you about material comics, where it's like what they should be doing, especially with the phone generation, is they should be handing out little pamphlets before their set. Be like, okay, here's what I'm going to talk about. Here are my lines. And go on TikTok, go on Instagram, go on your phone, play a game, whatever. And if you're missing what I'm saying here, just follow along. Just follow along on the script. Just follow along on the pamphlet.
But like when you see, and I'm not even a huge fan of this person, but when you see Anthony Jeselnik, are you like, oh, this guy's just following his script, and this isn't? He should be engaging with the audience. Of course not. That's not what he does.
Of course, yeah. And I'm not saying there isn't a place for material in stand-up comedy.
Oh God. I love how you've just removed the whole essence of stand-up from stand-up.
I think that
now it's the minority of people should be doing material.
I think that there is definitely a place for people to have their
tell their little stories,
have their little jokes and their little bits, and hey, have you ever
thoughts and ideas?
You ever seen a lamp before? Isn't that cool? And the little.
I mean, why would an artist want to have thoughts and ideas?
Hey,
that doesn't really make any sense.
You know this Trump guy? Man, this guy's fucking wild, man. This Trump guy. What's the deal with that?
When I was a kid and dreamed of being a creative person, I was like, I can't wait for someone else to come up with my ideas for me. I hope I have an audience so they can think and I can.
To me, though. And people say this. They say, "Oh, Wiora, are you ever going to write a joke again? Are you
do
ever
write jokes."
Yeah. But I say I write more jokes than anyone in Los Angeles. I do. And what's amazing about what I'm doing here is that I'm writing from the stage. People not only see the joke, they see the writing process too.
Well, there you go. You got a 2-for-1 special, folks.
That's right. That's 2 for the price of 1. You see my process with it too. No, I mean, of course, I think both of us are being a little facetious right now. But what I'll say, and we should wrap up here soon. But
yes.
What I'll say about this is that I think that when we limit crowd work to just what Matt Rife does, it's going to get a really bad name.
And when if you limit material to just reciting a monologue, that's going to be bad too.
To me, what I want to be known as a stand-up comic, and we'll see if this ends up becoming prophetic or not, Chris.
Yeah.
This might be something that plays in the documentary.
I can't wait to watch Wiora on TV. That'll be your Donahue,
Yeah. It'll play on every news station.
Does anyone even know what Donahue is?
No, of course
one
not.
knows what that is.
No,
anymore.
Of course not.
Oprah. People know Oprah?
Yeah, people know Oprah.
Okay, Oprah.
What I want to be known as is someone who does embedded crowd work, which is I really think the best form of stand-up comedy.
Okay.
Which is when you have a bit that is a really well-written bit, set up punch tag, all of that hoopla. We call it the Dravasala hoopla of just pen to paper. He's just. You ever seen Nick write a joke on it? He's just like angrily scribbling it. Like I feel like it's gonna it's like literally bleeding through the pages.
Sounds right.
And but you have the bit, but within the structure of the bit are opportunities to engage with the crowd. That's for me what I want to be known for.
I think that's good if you can get to a place where it doesn't screw up the rhythm of your joke. Because I've seen people try to do that and it screws up the rhythm of their joke.
Yeah.
And then their joke doesn't work right. But I've also seen people do that and it adds to their joke.
Yeah.
So probably just takes practice, skill, all that, being in the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we will end this episode the way we end every episode here, which is, Chris, what is the theory of crowd work?
If you want to get laid doing comedy, do crowd work. That's what the theory of crowd work is. It helps to look like a Backstreet Boy as well. That's okay. Oh, the real theory of crowd work?
Yeah.
I think the theory of crowd work is obviously engaging with the audience. Engaging with the audience is the theory of crowd work, which is something that every stand-up comedian should be doing in one way or another. And I my biggest takeaway from what we just discussed is the theory of crowd work, I think, should be, if you go full on crowd work where it's the whole thing is just, what do you do for a living? How long have you guys been dating? That is soulless and boring and just terrible. But if you go the other way and you're just doing a monologue of written material and not interacting at all or even engaging with your audience, that's bad too. So maybe the theory of crowd work could be Brian's future embedded crowd work, which is like, a good amalgamation, is that the word, of the two. So there's good and bad to it, just like with written material. Healthy balance is good, probably. I mean, every comedian should be engaging the audience. Yeah. So that's obvious. But anyway.
Well, I actually think you changed my mind on something today, too. And my favorite thing about this podcast, and even if we got 0 viewers for the rest of the time, I like having these conversations because you do end up changing my mind on a lot of things. I think one thing you changed my mind on was, I have felt very cornered personally because people now see me do crowd work all the time, and this is something I'm becoming known for. So I've become very defensive of it. But I think one thing you've kind of helped me realize is that this is all, and I think this was the definitions on Wikipedia as well as what you said, like it's all interactive theater. And your ability to interact with the crowd can come in a lot of different manifestations. Right? You can interact with them on an interpersonal level, i.e., you can interact with them by asking them what they do for a living or whatever. But you can also interact with them through a monologue. Was kind of my point with Norm. But actually, what you've maybe helped me realize is you can also interact with them through a perspective, right? Through a particular mindset. Because even when people aren't laughing and they're thinking or they're groaning, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe he believes this or whatever. Like that still is a form of crowd work, right? That's still a form of engagement.
Yeah. And that's why I think comics enjoy any reaction from an audience, right? Yeah. If there's a groan, that's better than silence.
Right.
So yeah.
I never asked you, who's your favorite crowd work comic?
Oh my God. I should have thought about this before the podcast. What am I saying? Brian Wiora, guys. Come on. Let's.
All right, Chris, that's been our episode. Please find us here on YouTube and Spotify. Chris, anything you want to plug before we go?
Follow me at Chris G. Keene on every platform.
Anything coming up you want to promote?
Doing a lot of touring with opening for Jimmy Dore. We'll be in New York City, Canada, Chicago. We'll be in San Francisco. We'll be all over. So go to my Instagram, Chris G. Keene, or go to Jimmy's website, jimmydore.com. What else? I think that's about it. No, that's about it for now.
You can follow me at Brian Wiora on Instagram. Also follow at Zebra Room on Instagram as well. Follow this podcast at Theory of Nothing Podcast as well on Instagram. I've got, I guess, I don't know if I mentioned this on the pod. I've got 20 shows in August, which I'm very excited about, which is amazing. You can see me at the Hollywood Improv on August 14th. You can see me at the Ice House on August 7th. This might be released before then. If it's not, then that was your chance to see me at the Ice House that month. But I'm back there also on for the Jester's Court on September 11th,
Damn, 9/11.
We're doing a show. We'll never forget.
We won't.
You can see me this month in August at the Haha Comedy Club. Every Sunday, I'll be there.
Oh shit.
Of course, you can always see me every day at the Zebra Room in East Hollywood. But no, we sincerely, for those of you that actually do listen, I know several of you who do listen to this podcast every time we release an episode. We really do appreciate it.
Yes, and come see us in West Hollywood, guys.
come to our house in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
DM us for the address. All right, until next time.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.